is Valley News Live at 4.
We begin today with breaking news. 3 murder charges are now filed against the man police say opened fire at a North Fargo business yesterday afternoon. 35-year-old Anthony Reese is charged with 2 counts of murder as well as murdering an unborn child. Authorities today identified the 2 people killed as 32-year-old April Carboni and 43-year-old Richard Pittman. The shooting happened here at Composite America off of 27th Street North around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Court documents say a witness told officers Pittman and Reese got into a fight on the factory floor earlier in the day and that management told Reese to leave. Witnesses say that he came back a short time later, starting another fight. One woman says she watched Reese pull out a handgun and shoot Pittman multiple times before turning and firing several rounds at Carboni. A short time later, Fargo police say Reese turned himself in, and investigators then recovered a 9mm semi-automatic pistol several blocks from that shooting. And just into our newsroom from Fargo Police, they are releasing additional photos of the man they're looking for after Monday's armed robbery at Casey's on 42nd Street South. Investigators say he threatened the clerk with a weapon and left on foot with cash. The robber's approximately 5 feet 11 inches tall, lighter skinned, and was wearing a dark jacket with a gray sweatshirt underneath. We have additional photos on our website. You can see them by going to valleynewslive.com. And if you recognize this person, please call Fargo Police. Many eyes will be on the sky tonight for the chance of seeing a lunar eclipse. Let's go to Hutch for details and whether the clouds will cooperate. Hutch?
Hey, things are looking good right now, but it's not going to stay that way, Mike. As we head into the evening, take a look at our Home of Economy camera. This is in Devil's Lake, and promising as we head into the overnight, we have a full moon. It's the full beaver moon this November night, and that moon is going to be partially eclipsed, and that's going to happen during the overnight hours. Here's a look at the schedule of events tonight. After 1 a.m. is when we begin that partial eclipse, and by the 3 a.m. hour, that's when it will be peaking. And then as we head towards 4, it will be ending. So that's the time frame from 1 to 4 a.m. It's late. What about the clouds? Here's the very latest right now. There's that clear slot moving over the valley. And it looks promising, but by the time we head to bed tonight around 10 o'clock, there will be building clouds out to the west. Notice the big clear patches now over the southern valley into Minnesota. When things get started at 1, head south and east of Fargo. That's where the best chance of viewing will be as clouds build into the valley. And when it's peaking, that chance for viewing continues to glide toward the Twin Cities. Now, hour by hour details on some warmer weather to cap off your work week on Friday. We'll have those and a look at, well, next week's big important forecast for travelers in a moment.
All right, thanks, Hutch. Fire tore through a building in Dilworth last night, and investigators are still trying to figure out how it happened. The call came in around midnight in the 4800 block of 50th Street North. The shop appears to be destroyed. The jury is wrapping up its 3rd day of deliberations in the Kyle Rittenhouse murder trial. The 18-year-old is facing 5 counts, including first-degree intentional homicide. He faces up to life in prison. 2 people were arrested outside the Wisconsin courthouse as the community remains on edge while awaiting the verdict. Yesterday, Rittenhouse's team asked for a mistrial over drone video that shows him killing Joseph Rosenbaum. They had a lower quality version until recently, and the judge says he will rule on the request if there is a guilty verdict. The man who fatally shot Ahmaud Arbery was back on the witness stand for a 2nd day today. Travis McMichael testified that he shot the unarmed black man because he felt he was forced to make a life or death decision. Omar Villafranca has the latest from the trial in Brunswick, Georgia.
Testifying under cross-examination for a 2nd day, Travis McMichael said as he followed Ahmaud Arbery in his pickup truck, he thought the 25-year-old was acting suspiciously.
Hasn't pulled out a gun.
No, ma'am.
Hasn't pulled out a knife.
He did not.
Still arms at his sides.
That's correct.
And he's trying to get away from you.
And I was letting him run away, yes, ma'am.
McMichael says his father, who is also on trial, told him to grab his gun and jump in their truck. He said he followed Arbery because he wanted to keep an eye on him. But as he got closer, McMichael testified Arbery was running straight at him and he wasn't sure how Arbery would act.
I was thinking that he was a threat, that he might go after myself, my father, or the truck. I wanted to be right there to deter him or to be able to handle it if I needed to.
So you're telling this jury that a man who has spent 5 minutes running away from you, you're now thinking is somehow going to want to continue to engage with you someone with a shotgun, and your father, a man who's just said, "Stop or I'll blow your head off," by trying to get in their truck?
Yes, ma'am.
Prosecutor Linda Dunikoski also pressed McMichael about inconsistencies between his testimony in court and what he told police 2 hours after the shooting.
So what were you nervous about?
I just killed a man. I had blood on me still. It was the most traumatic event of my life. I was scared to death.
You were nervous because you thought you were going to jail, right?
No. I gave him a statement.
Prosecutors argue McMichael and his father had no reason to arm themselves and chase Arbery through their neighborhood. The defense argues that social media reports from neighbors thought Arbery might have been stealing from a construction site. There were never any police reports filed over theft at the construction site. Defense attorneys moved for a mistrial after a prosecutor asked a witness whether she thought stealing was a crime deserving of the death penalty. The judge denied the motion and instead admonished the prosecutor in front of the jury. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Brunswick, Georgia.
Travis McMichael, his father Gregory McMichael, and their neighbor William Roddy Bryan Jr. are each facing 9 charges, including murder and aggravated assault. They have all pleaded not guilty. After more than a month-long strike, workers at John Deere plants are back on the job. The union membership agreeing to the terms of the collective bargaining agreement that covers some 10,000 workers at 14 facilities across the United States. This 6-year contract includes an $8,500 signing bonus and a 20% increase in wages over the life of the contract, with a 10% increase this year. The workers had been on strike since October 14th. The Defense Department's Office of Inspector General says the military and defense leaders acted appropriately during the January 6th riots at the U.S. Capitol. Some lawmakers and local leaders have said the military did not respond quickly enough as violent protesters breached the building. A report released decisions made by military leaders were reasonable in light of the circumstances that existed on that day and requests from D.C. officials. It took about 3 hours from the time of the first call for help from the Capitol Police to National Guard before troops were deployed. The Defense Department claims that was an appropriate amount of time to gain intelligence, determine the mission at hand and the readiness of the National Guard troops, and deliver orders to commanders in the field. President Biden's nearly $2 trillion social spending plan, known as the Build Back Better Act, could be headed toward a vote in the House this evening, if Democrats get good news from the Congressional Budget Office about the true cost of the bill. Natalie Brand has details from Capitol Hill.
Speaker, we meet today to consider the largest spending bill in American history.
The largest investment in America's working families, the human safety net, and the protection of the planet since FDR's New Deal.
House Democrats want to push ahead with a vote on the nearly $2 trillion social spending package following the eagerly awaited cost analysis by the Congressional Budget Office.
Complete Build Back Better before we go home.
Moderate House Democrats have said they want to make sure the bill doesn't add to the federal deficit. Republicans remain staunchly opposed, saying the plan costs too much.
We have an inflation crisis. This will only make things worse.
Meanwhile, there's disagreement among Democrats over one provision of the bill that would benefit individuals in high-tax states. The House bill raises the cap on the state and local tax or SALT deduction.
This isn't about who gets the tax cut. It's about which states get the revenue that they need in order to meet the needs of the people. And that is a fight that I will continue to make.
I think it's bad politics, it's bad policy. We've got to demand that the wealthy stop paying their fair share of taxes, not give them more tax breaks.
The House version of the bill is expected to change in the Senate, where Democratic leaders are still trying to win over key moderates, including West Virginia's Joe Manchin.
I haven't made, I'm still looking at everything.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has said he aims to pass the bill by Christmas. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Senator Manchin says that he too is waiting to see what the CBO says about the bill before he'll decide whether or not to support it. The United States is planning to buy 10 million doses of Pfizer's new COVID-19 treatment pill if it's approved by regulators. According to the reports, the U.S. will spend $5.29 billion in the purchase. Pfizer is awaiting a review of its emergency use authorization request by the FDA before it can distribute the medication. If approved, the drug would be the first oral antiviral treatment of its kind. Starting next week, Grand Forks Public Health will offer COVID-19 available for children ages 5 to 11 at the Grand Cities Mall. The vaccines will be available Monday through Wednesday by appointment only. The number you can call to set up an appointment is right there on your screen. Santa Village at Rowe Farm in South Fargo is opening next week from 1 to 7 p.m. Your kids will be able to meet Santa and Mrs. Claus, all while exploring a small piece of the North Pole in Fargo. Horse-drawn carriage rides will be available every Saturday and Sunday from 2 until 5 in the afternoon, and the Santa Village hours vary. For those times, you can call the number listed on your screen. Are you hosting this Thanksgiving holiday? Later on Valley News Live at 4, what it's going to cost you to put on a traditional meal.
And in weather, we have some clear skies now, but out to the west, there'll be some clouds. Will those foul your chance to see tonight's eclipse? Your forecast is warmer, and details on our chances of snow for the big travel week ahead coming up next.